Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great Thursday. So glad we have this moment together. I hope you've been blessed this week. I know I have. I've been encouraged, and I have enjoyed being with you, Pastor. It's always a pleasure. And you know, our whole purpose of this is we want to help those that are watching us.
But yes, that's a whole intent altogether.
Exactly.
Yeah, every day. And listen, share this, because every day for 5 minutes, it's not taking that much out of your time, but it's adding tremendously to your day if you'll just share it with others as well.
And especially in trying times, you know, this whole year, Pastor, it's hard to imagine we're already almost just a week or two away from Thanksgiving, and this year seemed to have flown by, but I think it has been one of the heaviest, craziest years. Life has just been so abnormal to what we know.
Folks were saying, look, please, let's don't set the clocks back an hour. We can't take an extra hour in this year. We've got to have a break. And that is true, but that's why we want to talk about these things about faith.
Yeah.
We've talked about empowering faith. We've talked about enduring faith, and we've talked about in abiding faith. And we've got to get these things so deep in our hearts, Pastor. And our folks, we want to encourage you to let faith work in your life like never before. But that's the right faith. Faith in God, faith in His promises, faith in His truth, and in fact, faith in His people.
You know, Pastor, even in this crazy time, we have put a lot of emphasis on the prophetic word and the faith in God's men and women that have been speaking prophetically.
Yeah.
And some believe, some don't, and it's causing people to question because of circumstances. Pastor, you operate in the prophetic. You brought some powerful words over, well, always, but I mean in the last year as well, that goes right along with many of these that are speaking. But we don't see everything as a prophet.
No. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 says, we know in part and we prophesy in part. But then it says, when that which is perfect has come, then all that stuff about being in part is done away. But that's talking about when Jesus returns to rule on the earth. And we're not there yet. So please, people, give the prophets a break. We know in part, we prophesy in part. That's why when you listen to the prophet, you'll hear one prophet say one thing, and then another say something slightly different. But if you'll listen closely, they actually are one part to another part to another part, so we can gain even more about what God is telling us.
You know, one of the things that I do, whether it would be a prophet, so-called prophetic gift, or even minister, I'm listening to a number of people. One, I know who they are.
Right.
And the Bible does tell us to try the
That is
spirits and
critical.
see whether they be of God.
That is critical.
And second thing is, are they seasoned? You know?
Yes.
And who are they? Who's around them? I think is so important. If he's a lone ranger out here, that causes me to question.
Yeah.
But the more security they have around them, I start listening. But I don't just listen to one. I listen to several.
Yes.
And because of that, when they are saying the very same thing,
Yes.
then that really stirs me.
Well, it should give us the ability to look and say, well, I do need to listen. But I don't bank my entire life on it, but I do listen, and I do trust the prophetic voices that I hear. And therefore, I've got to stand firm. We've talked about these things about faith. Believe His prophets, and you shall prosper. That's what the Word says. We're going to have to determine what we believe. Set your heart on what God has said through the prophets, and don't waver because of the outer influences. Set your heart. This thing, even as far as the election, this isn't over. And we're into, the second week of this deal. But it's not over, and who knows how long it'll be before it is actually over. Now everybody's talking about, well, they lied to steal it, or they lied to steal it, or they did this, or they did that. Let God be true, and every man a liar. Let's watch what God does. And please, people, please, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, let Him direct our paths, and the path of the church for sure. We've got to be directed by God.
I think you just said a world right there, Pastor, because most of these prophets that I've heard, no matter what, are bringing us back to say, get your attention to God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not upon me. I'm a man that can fail. You're a man that
absolutely.
can fail. But get your attention back to God. If he's a true prophet, that's what he's going to do anyway. He's not saying, hey, I'm the guy, I hear everything. No, he's going to bring your focus back to the Lord.
Yes, he is.
Our confidence and our strength is in Jesus. The foundation of the Lord is sure.
Is sure.
And unshakable. And that's where we want you standing today, so that you're not moved by anything, but you are strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Amen.